HCP podcast, and we're back on Cali X's Boxing's channel, or better known as Calix Boxing's YouTube channel. What is this HCP? Is this 171? Is that what this is?
It is 171, and it's Helix.
Helix.
The contract says Helix. So like it is what it is. You know what I mean? That's what the contract says.
I'm
All
the
right,
man of
screw it
many
up.
hats. I'm also the man of many names. Got as many
That's
names
right. You're like a
as
Paul.
hats.
Remember Paul Creed had all those nicknames?
Yep, that's
Paul,
me.
you have enough nicknames there for Paul. Like, you have enough names for Calix.
And JC wants clap back Thursday. He wants, so when we clap at somebody, we got to make sure we actually clap. Keep that in mind. We got to
Oh
remember
my, that's the
to
laziest
clap.
shit I've heard.
And we're not gonna do
Clap
it in
back.
speedos. We're not gonna do it in speedos. No speedos,
No
right?
speedos. No speedos
No.
and no fake abs.
I saw Dana White had something to say about Oscar and the speedos, but that dude loves wearing those speedos. Last I saw,
Was it something along the lines of unfortunately I did or something like that? Like,
yeah, people are desperate to do certain things when they hide behind other things to do it. Did you see the video yesterday with him and his girlfriend when they're promoting like a cancer nonprofit, and they're
yeah,
both wearing?
that's
She's
why
wearing
they
like the.
did it.
Yeah, that's why they did it. It's for a good
Yeah,
cause, and
yeah, it's
Oscar's
for a
just
good
out.
cause.
Oscar's in there with his leopard skin speedos. Good lord!
I don't want to talk about Oscar's speedos or thongs anymore. I'm good.
Shout out
We
Los
can keep it more.
Los Chincones. Shout out
Shout
to
out to that.
them.
I think that's Cholo Trucker. Shout out to him.
That's right, Carlos G Alvarado, my guy Mr. T, better known as Mr. Yellow, over there on the X, on Elon's X. HLD's here. DB Boxing Fan is here. Wheelchair Man John is here. Who else we got? Don't forget, according to Oscar, 1 out of 2 guys wear female clothing. We've been over that, and I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true.
Not really. He
Javier
said that if
Abida.
you ask them, they would admit. Like,
I wouldn't
what?
admit.
What are you
Nando
talking about?
Llamas. Do we have this? He's happy Labor Day weekend to the Boxing Homies US. I don't know if we have the thing up.
I'm a hard working man.
Yeah.
There it is. He was asking for it again. Good. They love the Brooks and Dunn. They love the Brooks and
You
Dunn.
can't play the full version of the clip because YouTube likes to do its whole like copyright.
Yeah, they copyright
copyrighting.
If you play it longer than 3 seconds, it's going to be a copyright strike. So we gotta.
But
we
it's
gotta cut it
just
out.
long enough to hear "Hardworking Man."
It's a classic. That is a classic song. One of the I'd say it's probably top 100 songs ever written. So
Like, tell it to Cholo Trucker. As soon as he gets in his truck and he and he turns the engine,
working man.
and then he turns on his radio. So
I'm a hard working man.
He's got his steel hat, and he's got his hard toe construction boots back there in the back of his truck. He's a hardworking man. He is. So we got some topics to talk about today. Shakur versus Cordina. I want to touch on that more. Pause. Pound for pound, I wanted to hit on that. And but let's start off with Pacheco versus Selecki, and then highlight where we're at in the super middleweight division, as well a screenshot of the super middleweight division and where we're at. And the reason we do that is, Canelo's there, and there's this whole Canelo orbit. And is this division? I don't know, where are we at in this division? Pacheco's still early, D-Style, 23 years old, 21-0, 17 KOs. This is a good highlight fight for him this weekend, main event, against a guy who's been in there with guys on a 5-fight win streak. But the 2 step-up fights were against Andrade and Jacobs. He lost those fights, but he lost those fights decision. So I love these type of fights because it's a young guy moving up with power who's been knocking guys out. And we're going to see if he can beat this competition better than other guys that have done it before. It's a barometer fight. And he's the favorite to win this fight by knockout. And if he does knock out Selecki, even though Selecki's 35 years old, he's a little past it. Not the same guy that fought Andrade and Jacobs, but still a tough fighter. If he's able to win this fight by knockout in Carson, California, it does sort of give him that coming out fight. Do you agree with all that?
100%. Look, here's the thing. Do you remember Andrade's speech, by the way? Like when
Andre,
he was like Andre, like after he beat Sulecki, he acted like he just beat like the freaking second coming of I don't know what, but he was like, Sulecki's a good fighter. Sulecki's no Rocky Fielding. Sulecki, and he started naming some of Canelo's opponents. Like he's trying to flex on Canelo that he just fought Sulecki.
yeah,
He didn't fight Rocky Fielding.
uh-huh.
You know what I mean? Like okay. He mentioned some other names. I think he mentioned one of like Charlo's opponents too. And well, we're gonna find out, aren't we? I think Pacheco's gonna style on Sulecki. Like you said, Sulecki is a little older, and it kind of goes back to obviously Sulecki hasn't had the same success as Hurd, but yesterday I mentioned Nikita next year, or maybe a little after that, fighting like a Hurd, somebody like that, a former world champion on the way down. That's typically who you want to fight before you get to the big step up, right? Because it gives you experience, if anything. Sulecki obviously has fallen short, you know, when he stepped up, as you mentioned, Jacobs against Andrade. But he is somebody with experience, and it is a step up, right? And it's a kind of a pathway to the right direction for Pacheco. If Pacheco is going to go where we believe he's going to go, he's got to pass this one with flying colors. If he loses, that'll be disastrous. But if he does, if he wins, but it's in a way that it's a very competitive fight or something like that, then obviously we're going to have to wait even that's going to be a signal to us that we're going to wait even longer for Pacheco to step up to the ultimate world stage. So hopefully he passes with flying colors and destroys Sulecki. That way the next fight is guaranteeing us even a more of a step up. So I personally wouldn't mind seeing Pacheco to start putting him in the ring with there's some guys out there, but
a top 10 guy next.
Yeah,
because if you look at the trend, D-Style, if you look at the trend, he fought 4 times.
Well, I was actually thinking the dog, Darrell. I was thinking like that's somebody that could put him in the ring with, a former world champion, an aging guy, but with a lot of experience. I think I would personally like an Anthony Darrell fight next for Pacheco if he clears this one with flying colors, which would be ironic because Darrell's probably 1 or 2 on the best wins in David Benavidez' resume. So that's just I'm just putting that out there.
Yeah, so if you look at the trend, he fought 4 times in 2022, 3 times in 2023. This will be his second fight in 2024. So the activity is starting to come down slightly, which means I would think they're positioning to move him into that twice per year fighter that's fighting bigger fights. I think that's what we're looking at. Now, his last fight against McCallman, he got a UD, and people were down on him about that he didn't get the knockout because people are so used to seeing him knock people out, right? So I think people are looking to see this time, will he get the knockout? Or will this be a trend going forward as he steps up in competition, the knockouts stop? If the knockouts are stopping this early, I would say that's possibly a red flag, right? If the knockouts are stopping this early, if he's been known as a knockout fighter, almost a 100% KO percentage, and then as he steps up a little bit, just slightly in 2024, the KO stop, I think he's going to get a stoppage here. I think he's going to show out, and I think this is going to be a good coming out party for him, and I think he's the real deal. I think he is. Now, this is the super middleweight division. This is what it looks like. Let me try to make it a little bigger if I can. Pause. And this is what it looks like. You got Canelo at the top and Billy number 1, Munguia number 2, Iglesias. Pacheco is already at 23 years old, D-Style. He's already number 4 contender, a top 5 fighter at super middleweight. Number 4 contender to Canelo. You got Shishkin. Berlanga's in the mix at number 7, Martinez. So this isn't a William Skull's there at number 10. This is not a strong division currently. Would you agree with that?
Well, I'll say it isn't, especially we're comparing it to its peers, right? The other divisions, and it's not. It's not the worst either. I will say that, but the issue is, I mean, you look at the champion, and it's like I don't see anybody anytime soon ready to beat Canelo, or even give him a run for his money on that list.
Does that make
right?
it look weaker? Because I remember when Klitschko was
Yeah,
at the top.
you remove Canelo from this list, and it's still like the division is what it is. But there's a lot of great matchups you could do right there. Like honestly,
Remember
even
Caleb Plant? Remember Caleb Plant still in the mix? He's coming back.
Caleb Plant's in the mix, and Billy.
Janet Beck's gonna move up.
Yeah, like. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Although, my God, and the reason I say this division isn't that bad, just look at middleweight. I mean, it's just, I mean, holy shit. I'm just saying, bro. Like, if middleweight, like, it's bringing the cost of prices down in the neighborhood when it comes to boxing middleweight. Like, it just is. It's that house with weeds going out, and it's been abandoned, and nobody's taking care of it, and there's broken windows, and like no one's like defending the honor of that home. Like, it's just kind of abandoned. Like that's with an old like truck with leaking oil. Like, you could see the oil in the bottom, and it's just, that house just brings value down in the neighborhood. Like that's middleweight, right? Like, it's just like, we clean up. Like, that used to be like one of the most beautiful houses in the neighborhood. What happened?
It's the house. It's the house where the grass is about 4 feet tall now, and it's up for foreclosure. And everybody's like, "Can somebody please do something with this house?"
4 feet. It's 4 feet through the cracks of the driveway. Like that. It's crazy. And I'm like, I'm trying to hand over the weed eater to like anybody. Like what I mean? Can somebody step up?
There's like a pickup truck from the 80s, like parked on the side, and it's just been rusted out. And they just left it there.
Remember when I asked Glenn Jennings, any plans to move to middleweight soon? He's like, "Well, mate, we're gonna stick around with 54 for a while."
Nobody even wants to go there.
Yeah, but yeah, 168, not the worst division in the world. Not one of the best either, but it's in the middle of the pack, I would say. Maybe the bottom end of the middle of the pack. But the problem is there's a lot of guys, a lot of potential, but just either not at the level of Canelo or not yet at the level of Canelo.
They're not there yet. The top two threats moved up, right? Benavidez, Morrell Jr. And he already beat Plant. He already cleaned out the older super middleweight division, right? So he cleaned that out. Benavidez, Morrell Jr. move up, so it leaves behind sort of a vacuum of these other fighters who he already beats the top number 2 contender in Munguia.
The problem with Canelo,
as much as people are crapping on this fight, Berlanga is number 7 contender. These other guys just aren't known enough. Iglesias, Pacheco's not there yet. Shishkin, I mean, really. So, and Billy, we saw him. I mean, is that fight really in demand yet? I think Canelo is going to have to get creative if the Benavidez fight isn't coming. True. And by the way, Canelo said yesterday in an interview, I saw it, that he's still open to the Crawford fight next if they offer it to him. So we could possibly see that.
Well, speaking of that, yeah.
He said, I don't care. He loves saying, I don't care right now. He said, I don't care about the Fundora, what the sanctioning bodies are doing with Fundora. That doesn't matter. I do what I want, and whatever I want, whatever I say goes. If I want the Bud fight, we're going to do the Bud fight. So he's not worried about the mandate from the WBO. And he says, if me versus Bud happens next, it happens if they give me a good offer. So I think that's still on the table. And it's realistic, D-Style, because you look at that screenshot we just put up, who's really ready to where, I mean, you could say in Billy, is that fight really in demand? More so than a Berlanga fight? I don't know.
It's Canada versus Mexico. Let's go. North American supremacy. And look, a lot of people are going to take really quick. Boxing for life. Your guys' thoughts on Canelo saying the WBO mandating Bud versus Fundora doesn't matter. He can still fight Crawford. There you go.
I think
I'm a hard-working man.
I think it's realistic. I do. If the Benavidez fight isn't going to happen, I do think that's a realistic fight next for Canelo. I do. Because I look at that screenshot, D-Style. I mean, what's there really for him at super middleweight?
Yeah, there's nothing really there. And Billy, I would rather in Billy have 2-3 more fights, and get a little more Like, you know, guys ain't ready for Canelo when no one's like, only Timothy Bradley's out here like calling for that fight. Like, they always like, oh, Canelo will not fight this dude. Like, dude, like Paulie Malignaggi isn't even bothering to say until I hear a guy like Paulie or Teddy Atlas say Canelo will never fight in Billy because he's scared. He don't want to. Until I start hearing that language, then I don't think that fight's ready. You know, a fight's ready when those guys start talking about how Canelo will never fight that guy.
Do you have
like
the
that's no.
Do you have the feeling like that when you look at that graphic I just showed at the top 10,
Sure,
that you'd rather see those other guys mix it up than Canelo fight those other guys? And dudes are going to accuse us of saying, you want to see these guys beat each other up in Canelo. That's not what it is. It's just, I look at Billy versus Pacheco I say, interesting.
No, I agree
love
with you.
I love that fight. Like Caleb Plant's back in the mix. I look at Caleb Plant versus, I like Caleb Plant versus Berlanga, but if you do Caleb Plant versus Munguia, you do Munguia versus Pacheco, you do Billy versus Munguia. I look at those matchups and say, I like really those. Good, I like those a lot.
I
but Canelo versus those guys, I see like 7-1, 8-1.
Yeah, the problem is this, Calix. Like, this is the problem. In every other sport, literally, everyone competes with everyone. So and what I mean by that is, it's like there's no such thing as like the NBA champions, have to face everyone, and none of them have to face everybody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't go to, like, in tennis, you got to go through brackets to make it to the final. Like, so obviously I understand boxing is different, it's a different structure and all that, but calling on other fighters to fight each other as well, and not just expecting the champion to do everything, it's just that's very practical and normal, and makes all the sense in the world. And the reason it makes all the sense in the world is because that leads to, like, guys fighting Canelo, and for this example, and they don't even have the experience to anywhere near to compete with a guy at that level, right? If you allow Canelo fight, he's going to gain all the experience, and he's going to benefit from it to a certain degree, and these guys are not. Like, a lot of people are so caught up with the hatred for Canelo that they don't even look at what's practical for some of these fighters. Like, it's better for, like, it would have been better, for example, for, Benavidez and Plant to have fought each other like 2 years prior to Canelo even showing up, because they would have had that experience of fighting each other, right? And either guy, like, especially the winner of that fight, would have been more ready for, like, that next step up against the Canelo, right?
Charlo fight Benavidez, or Charlo fight Plant, stuff like that, right?
They would have
increases
been
demand.
more ready, yes. Yeah.
And I think that's how I feel right now. When I look at this graphic, I don't see anybody else who really has the man it's really realistic. And as a fan, I'm more intrigued by, and it has nothing to do with these guys beating each other up, and that's not what it is. I look at these matchups and I say, I like Billy versus Munguia. Man, I love that fight. I love Munguia versus Plant. I love Pacheco stepping up and fighting a top 10 guy, right? I mean, Pacheco versus Berlanga is a good matchup. That's an acceptable matchup.
I mean, also, like, when guys start competing with each other, I'm a firm believer that steel sharpens steel, iron sharpens iron. Like, if they all start fighting each other and competing with each other instead of avoiding each other because they all want to get the Canelo fight, which unfortunately they're all going to do. But if it was the other way around,
do you think so though? Do you think we pivoted
the latter? Maybe, but what I'm saying is, if they compete against each other, they're going to get better, and whether it's true or not, it's going to give a perception that the division is better because it's more competitive, right? And they just sit around. I mean, it's just what it is. But no, I do think guys are going to wait around like it worked. Berlanga just got the fight, bro. Berlanga was rewarded for not fighting anybody, and avoiding the pecking order, and look at where he is now.
I hope what happens is Munguia stays active. Berlanga, although we think he's not that good, right? And we think
Right.
he's going to get knocked out. I still hope that there's a market for him for other top 10 fighters to fight each other. And at the same time, I hope that Billy doesn't just wait around. Pacheco,
Gotcha.
I don't think Pacheco's at the point yet where he would just wait around. And I think he's built a little bit different. And hopefully they learn from Benavidez's mistakes, because I know
I agree.
they're friends.
I want to, before we move on from the super middleweight division, and shout out to Pacheco. I know somebody just said back to bully against Pacheco. I think that's a great fight.
Yep.
Look, first things first, how he looks against Sulecki is going to tell me everything.
Yep.
And then after that, then I think even Matchroom's going to have a better idea what they want to do with him. I just want to give a shout out to Jenny Fuchs, who we did an interview last year.
Mm-hmm.
It's been that long. It's unbelievable, but we interviewed her before her fight in June of last year, and she hasn't fought an official professional fight since then. She's in a little fight league where she does a couple of rounds, and it is what it is. But she's going to be fighting a girl that's been active. A world, they're going to be fighting for the WBC interim world superfly title, and it's a tough fight. Unfortunately, Gina Fuchs couldn't get fights, so she couldn't. She says she's ready, and I believe her that she feels she's ready to fight any of the champions. She's ready to go, and I get that, but it's still better to, fight a former world champion and stay active and work your way up a little bit to be better prepared. But she had to basically take this, I would assume, because this might be her only shot. Gina Fuchs is not getting any younger. They've kept her on the shelf over a year, and this is her shot. So hopefully she pulls it off. We'll see.
Yeah. And to wrap it up on Pacheco, if he doesn't get a stoppage here, which I think he will, minus 350 to get a stoppage. If he doesn't get a stoppage here, I think that is a red, sort of a red flag of 2 straight fights without the stoppage. Not saying that that's terrible, and not saying that he's going to be exposed like Berlanga. Remember Berlanga, as he stepped up competition, the stoppages ceased. I don't think that's going to happen, but that can be something to look for here. I think he needs to show out. Causin, California. Unfortunately, from what I'm hearing, the tickets are not selling well out there, and that used to be a happening venue. People call that the venue that the PBC destroyed. PBC killed that venue. It used to be a happening venue.
What can that be elaborated a little bit? Like, how did PBC kill?
So PBC came in to that venue and started putting on mismatches, and instead of what used to happen in Causin, California, is, from what I hear from people, I haven't watched a fight there yet, it's one of the best venues for boxing. And I'm sure there are people in the chat who have been there for a fight, because there's not a bad seat.
Makes sense. It's a tennis court, right?
Yes, but you used to have like good action fights there. I remember watching Paul Williams. Paul Williams, Antonio Margarito was there. You used to have good matchmakings there. There used to be good promotion behind the billboards, and they used to pass out flyers, and there was good promotion there. And you obviously have a hub there of Mexican fight fans. And what the PBC started doing was putting fights that made no sense there. Maybe the site fee is cheap, I don't know. And being lazy with it and papering the events and giving people 10 free tickets, 20 free tickets. And over time, you train the market to expect that sort of thing. So now when you have a Diego Pacheco go there, or whoever, Sebastian Fundora fought there last year. He fought Mendoza there. And by the time Fundora, I knew people who were there. By the time Mendoza knocked out Fundora, that place was about 25% full, because people were just not there. And that's Fundora. And he's Mexican American, right? And he's from LA. And you should be able to fill the place for an exciting fighter like that. And they killed that venue, from what I hear. But
that was after he had like an amazing fight with Lubin too. Like, it's not like he was coming off some boring performance or something. But I think I mean, obviously I'm not discounting anything that was said. I mean, it makes sense, but just in general, bro, like, boxing has a problem with like a lack of popularity across the nation. And I think that has to do a lot with what Steve Kim touched about on the roundtable. Like, boxing has just kind of like, the secondary market just isn't good. Like, they haven't marketed well. They haven't
It has a branding
Um,
issue. There's a
as
branding
a
issue.
branding issue and greed from a lot of lazy promoters.
Speaking of,
Like
this is a perfect segue, D-Style.
getting them on casinos and stuff, and getting them away from promoting in cities to grow fan bases organically.
Perfect segue. Shakur Stevenson versus Joe Cordina on a pay-per-view main event. Now I'm hearing people. I say this, D-Style, and I complain about it, and people start to play.
Can I read a comment we just received about 2 minutes ago
Yeah, go ahead.
about this?
Go ahead.
I would love to hear this energy for having to pay for a Canelo fight when the best fight of the year is free too. Speaking of selling cold steaks, telling us it's cooked. In other words, we have all this energy for Stevenson, but we have no energy for Canelo. Well, it's just not even true.
No, it's not. You know what I'm not buying? What fight I'm not buying? Stevenson versus Cordina pay-per-view. You know what else I'm not buying? Canelo versus Berlanga. You are. I'm not. And to each his own. If you want to buy it, you want to buy it. The market's going to dictate whether it's a sellable fight or not.
Right.
And it doesn't always make sense, right? Like Canelo versus Jake Paul would sell a gazillion pay-per-views. Canelo versus Billy might sell 250, 300 or 400, whatever it would do, right? And Billy a much better fighter and the top contender. We know which is the better fight as a boxing fan, but the market doesn't always make sense.
Gotcha.
But this is the thing. We do this stuff. And I had Leonard Ellerbe famously did this to me, or infamously, is I complained about one thing, and 2 minutes later he said, "What about Bivol?" And
Wilder,
5 minutes before I complained about Wilder, I complained about Bivol. He didn't even see. He was so pent up in anger about the Wilder thing that he missed what I said about Bivol 5 minutes earlier.
About you, he assumed about you.
He made an assumption, and they're making an assumption about us, about Shakur Stevenson. And can dudes spend this energy to go after the power brokers who are giving them terrible matchups and making them pay for them, or their favorite fighter who willingly goes along with it, instead of coming after us when we are doing these things? And I pointed out in my video on Twitter earlier, I see the dudes out there who they'll complain about the PBC stuff with us, but they'll let the Riyadh season stuff slide, right? Because there's some stuff that the Riyadh season has done this year that's like, what is that? What is that? And this is one of them. I don't care what the excuses are.
A lot of it is smoking. It's an okie doke. It's smoke and mirrors in some cases. You know,
I complain about this, and they'll throw out the excuses about it's network stuff. It's not this and that. And stop hating on Shakur. I'm not hating on Shakur. You know, first of all, dude, D-Style, I said this to you before. If I'm Shakur and I put on two of the most boring performances of all time, and then I walk into free agency and a dude offers me, let's say it's $5 million. That's the rumor we're hearing. Anywhere close to it. I have to assume it's more than what Top Rank was offering him, $3 million per fight. To fight Joe Cordina on a pay-per-view main event. Go get your bag. Like, I'm not complaining about that. What I'm complaining about is the power brokers doing it, and the content creators and the boxing fans explaining it away and coming up with the semantics that it's actually a co-main. It's actually a co-main under Bivol Better Biev. It is and it's not. It is out in Riyadh. It is out in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. It's in the same venue, but it's on two different networks. I can get Bivol Better Biev for free. I don't understand what people don't understand about this. I can get that for free, and I gotta pay over here.
The pay-per-view is gonna happen, and they're gonna sign out after Shakur's fight. Like, all right, guys.
Okay, go catch the main event for free. It's like, what? What is this? And I'm expected to pay for that out down here in America when it's in the middle of the day, and it's Shakur versus Cordina. I can pull up the odds right now, and it's not going to be pretty. It's not going to be pretty. I mean, this is a wide odds fight. It's not good. And I don't understand the explaining away. Dudes have Stockholm syndrome, D-Style. They have Stockholm. He's a 13-1 favorite.
Yeah, but a lot of it, look, Alex, a lot of it.
And they'll do that thing, right? D-Style that you just mentioned. It's like, Canelo's a 16-1 favorite. You're not complaining about that. Shakur's a 13-1. We're complaining about both. Like, how many times we have to say that we're complaining about both? And I understand that there are content creators out there who do that. They let the Riyadh season stuff slide, right? They just let it slide. They let it
Yeah.
sweep under. They don't say anything about it. This is trash. You could argue this is trasher than Wilder versus Hellenius. I mean, this is bad. Shakur as a pay-per-view headliner against Joe Cordina coming off of a vicious loss. What is this?
Just say it out loud. Like when you say it out loud, it's like worse. Like Cordina Stevenson.
It hurts my heart when I say it out loud. It's like, what if we come to
but here's
slope
like
we talked about? Like we fell off of it. Now we're looking up and it's Shakur.
I have a lot
Cordina.
to say. Look, I have a lot to say about this whole like comparative thing because all the fan bases do it, and it's one of my worst pet peeves ever. Is what about this guy? Well, what about this? Oh, why didn't you say anything about that? But you said something about this and blah 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 blah. Like here is my issue, right? Shakur Stevenson, Cordina is a trash fight. It shouldn't be the main fight on a fucking pay-per-view, right? And objectively speaking, you know, everyone that's if I say that, you should just what's so hard about just saying I disagree with you, it is, or I disagree with you, it isn't. Right? Or I'm sorry, I disagree with you, it is, I agree with you, it isn't. Like, what's so hard about that? Well, why can't we just talk face value instead of, well, what about this fight? Well, you didn't say anything about this fight. The problem with that, Alex, is we don't know your opinion. What do you think? All you're doing is comparing like you're assuming about my opinions, right? But you're not addressing. It reminds me of the R. Kelly controversies, right? It was stupid, bro. They say, R. Kelly, man, there's a pedophile, bro. Yeah, well, what about Elvis Presley, huh? Like, what? Why can't you just say, yeah, dude's a pedophile? You know what I mean? What's so hard about that? Well, everybody wants to say about R. Kelly, but what about nobody said anything about this guy, this artist back in 1964, and they accepted it then, but now that R. Kelly is doing it, they want to say something. Is dating and having sex with underage girls bad? Yes. Did R. Kelly do it? Yes. So it's bad. Let's just leave it at that. No. Well, what about this guy? What about that guy? They would have said anything about him. Like, what are we doing? Right? And then people try to make it deeper than what it is. Like, I know why you want to say that about R. Kelly. Because he was hooking up with underage girls. Is the reason. I don't know what you're insinuating. Okay.
I know why you're hating on Shakur. It's probably
that's you're calling him boring. I know why you're doing that. And you don't want to say anything about the Canelo fight. I know why. And it's like, well, obviously you don't.
I know why you're hating on the PBC. I know why. It's maybe they should.
Yeah, like what do you mean? Like it's not that complicated, bro. Like it's like trying to make things deeper, right? And trying to insinuate things about my character is not going to undo the fact that Stevenson is a shit fight with Cordina, and it shouldn't be on pay-per-view as a main event.
And it's not going to bully us into being quiet either. That stuff doesn't work. That playbook doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, the playbook's overused, bro. I'm sorry. It's
ain't gonna work.
You know, it's not a currency, right? And one thing is this:
you used to have to earn your way onto pay-per-view main events, and we all know what that means. We all know what a pay-per-view fighter is, and these dudes try to bend it into, well, it's a pay-per-view because of the network, and it's pay-per-view because they have to. If you want to see your favorite fighter fight, then you got to pay. It's like no. Is it a pay-per-view value fight or not? And we know that's a real thing. We know pay-per-view value is a real thing, and if it's not pay-per-view value, guess what? I'm sitting it out. Sitting it
out. And guess
what? Don't complain. Just don't buy it. Don't complain. No, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to complain, and I'm not going to buy it. And you're going to deal with that. You know what's worse than a complainer? A complainer about the complainer. So
here's the thing. Be quiet. I'm going to complain about it. And those that get mad about it, you know what you're going to do? Well, Cal just said, you're going to complain about my complaining, right? That's all a lot of you do, right? You log on Twitter just to call out people complaining. That's all you do. A lot of you people don't even know your opinion about the Stevenson fight. All you're doing is saying, oh, you're not saying anything about Canelo, even though we did, by the way, right? We did say. I was on Twitter saying La pelea vale verga. Like the fight fucking sucks. Okay? Like, that's what I was saying about Canelo Berlanga, but that doesn't matter. You see, you don't care about what I said about Canelo versus Berlanga. You just want to be the guy that points out that, oh, everybody's being hypocrites. Everybody's complaining. But nobody knows what you think, because your opinions are just your opinion on other people's opinions.
Yeah.
That's all it is with a lot of you. You just have opinions about other people's opinions. No one knows your fucking opinion, right? And all you do is talk about people not talking boxing. You don't actually talk boxing. You just talk about people not talking boxing. Well, why do you all just talk boxing, huh? Well, why are you pocket watching? Why are you not talking boxing? You're pocket watching. Right? That's all you guys do. You just talk about other people not talking boxing. You don't actually talk boxing. That's the world we're in. That's the world we live in. Whatever. I'm going to say what I want to say, and people that don't like it, you ain't going to do shit about it. Right? You're not. There's nothing you're going to do other than do workout. What are they going to do?
Complain about complaining. And
complain about complaining.
And as a consumer, I have the right to complain about a product.
And by the way, who the fuck does anybody tell us what to do with our money? Like, even not to do with our money. Like, well, don't buy it. You don't buy it. Like, well, people aren't buying. That's number one.
Just my favorite is just say you're broke boy.
Hey, broke boy. Yeah, I'm gonna go to 7-Eleven. I'm gonna grab some gum. Right? Like, well, what's a good gum? What's your favorite? Five? Or you look like a five guy, like, right?
Five gum. Five. What is that?
What's your favorite gum?
I like juicy fruit. It's cool.
Juicy fruit. Oh, come on. What are you, the lawyer now? What's going on?
What's wrong with juicy fruit?
Juicy fruit sounds lawyerish. No, but in all seriousness, so juicy fruit. I get a pack of juicy fruit, right?
Yeah.
My problem with juicy fruit, it only stays in flavor like for a minute. Like, then it has no flavor.
Yeah, but it's good. That flavor is good.
So I put in the counter. Calix is my cashier. All right, sir, that's gonna be $15. Like, for a pack of juicy fruit? Like, what you doing? Scan it 15 times? What the fuck's going on? It's $15. What's wrong? Are you broke boy? Are you broke? Now, it doesn't mean I don't have $15. All right? It just means I'm not going to pay $15 for a pack of juicy fruit. I'm not going to go. You know what's crazy, Calix? Just last year, I was doing a joke. I was doing the not overpaying joke, and I was like, people think I'm going to go to McDonald's and pay $15 for a Big Mac. Yet here we are. Like, that's how much it costs now after inflation. All right, but I'm not going to go spend $100 on a Big Mac just because McDonald's says that's what it is. And if somebody looks at me and says, "What are you, broke boy?" Like, it doesn't mean I don't have $100 to spend. It just means I'm not going to overpay. Everything's about value. People need to learn the difference between value and price. A lot of us could afford the price. It's not the problem. It's the value of it. We don't see value in buying Stevenson Cordina. At this point, it's a running joke. Turkey Al-Sheikh cannot be calling out Canelo for not wanting to fight top opposition, but then gift this to Shakur Stevenson, right? And pay him $5 million to do it. That is absolutely insane. A guy coming off a loss and a guy who arguably could be 0-3 in the last 3 fights. All right? That's what you're doing. Yet ESPN's going to give us, according to reports, they might change their mind, by the way. They might turn around and be like, "You're right. It should be on pay-per-view." But Bivol versus Better Beef, you know what I mean? Like theoretically, it should be for free.
Your example is actually worse than that, though, because there's some Stockholm syndrome in it. Because it's like, okay, I pick up my juicy fruit, my beloved juicy fruit. Let's call it I I don't know. There's different types of gum if people don't like juicy fruit. But let's go with juicy fruit. I pick it up. I'm expecting to
Winter
pay
Fresh
whatever.
is the goat, bro.
Winter
Fresh is
Fresh.
the
I
goat.
pick up Winter Fresh. And I pick it up. It's like, man, I love Winter Fresh. So I pick it up. I expect to pay $3.99, whatever, right? And I get to the counter and she scans and I see $15.99. I was like, what is this? That can't be right. There has to be a mistake. Maybe the barcode's wrong.
There's a dude behind you in line.
And there's a dude behind me in line. There's a couple dudes behind me in line, right? And then the person that owns the grocery store that's there is saying, you can't afford $15.99 and they'll explain to you. They'll explain like it's $15.99 because of this, that. I don't care why it's $15.99, but it's $15.99 and it's not worth $15.99. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this. I need you to cancel that out in the register, and I'm gonna put it back on the shelf. And they start to say, broke boy. What are you, a broke boy? Broke boy, broke boy. And then the people behind me, the other consumers start to parrot that and say, what are you, a broke boy, broke boy? Didn't you hear him? It's $15.99 because of this. You're not going to support the Winter Fresh? You love Winter Fresh. You're not going to support the Winter Fresh? I like Winter Fresh. But look, I like Winter Fresh. I don't like it that much. So I'm going to put it back on the shelf.
It doesn't end there, though. And then you have the other dude in line. It's like, man, this broke boy don't know about the business of gum. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't understand. Like, why would Winter Fresh not want to charge you that, right? Winter Fresh is its own boss. Winter Fresh, right, has been the top-selling gum for years. So Winter Fresh has earned a right to charge you whatever he wants to charge you, right? And there's another thing. And then there's another dude in line. Right?
I don't understand the science behind the Winter Fresh.
No,
right?
but there's another dude in line, and he points at you, Calic, and he goes, people like you're the problem, and why Winter Fresh hasn't been selling as much as it used to sell. Guys like you, right? Guys like you are the problem, all right? And why Winter Fresh has dropped in sales over the years. Guys like you, Calix, right? So like that.
And then you have the other dudes. You have the other dudes who are grabbing the Winter Fresh and quietly putting them in their pocket. And as they're walking out the door with it and not paying, they're saying, you're the problem. Why don't you just pay for the Winter Fresh, broke boy? Why don't you just pay for it as they're stealing the Winter Fresh going out the door? This is where we're at. And I'm just sitting here putting the Winter Fresh back. I'm just saying, I don't want to pay $15.99 for the Winter Fresh. I'm going to go somewhere else. There are other options here.
The best one is don't complain then. Why are you complaining? What's going on?
I'm in the middle of this madness. I'm just in the middle of this madness, and I'm like,
yo,
I just came here for Winter Fresh.
There's another guy. Don't forget this other guy now. The other guy is, if you want Winter Fresh and you want the other gums to succeed, you got to support and buy Winter Fresh. You got to do it in order for it to succeed. Otherwise, guys like you are going to be the reason we're not going to have any more gum in the counter because guys like you. Right?
And
they're going to stop producing it because of you.
And none of them have the common sense to think that if we all pay $15.99 for the Winter Fresh, what's going to happen, D-Style? They're going to charge us $15.99 for every single gum on the shelf. And that's going to be the new price.
And
you need a market that's going to push back. You need a market that's going to push back.
The best part is this. It's just that the owner of Winter Fresh is going to be like, I don't give a fuck, motherfucker. It's just like, I don't care. Like, it's whatever to me, but here's the best part, Alex. Shakur Cordina ain't no Winter Fresh. That's the worst part.
That's like you remember the gum, the stick of gum they used to put in the baseball cards? That's what that is.
Oh, it's like that. It's like that in a packet with no flavor. It's hard. It hurts your teeth. It
loses its flavor in like 3 seconds.
I mean, you don't understand. You don't understand the science behind and the art that comes into.
Can you believe though? Like they used to put a stick of gum.
The stick of gum with all the art on the wrapper, you don't appreciate the art of it. You know what I mean? But the reality is when you open it, it's got no flavor. It's kind of most people spit it out, kind of like they walk out of Shakur fights, but they spit out the gum when they don't like it. But like you're expected to spend $15 on that, right?
You can taste like
and by the way, Calix isn't buying either one of them. right? He's just saying one's worse than the other, but he's saying, I'm not buying any of them. And the dude's coming up to him and saying, well, you're saying that about that gum, but you don't say anything about Winter Fresh. Well, even though he did say something about Winter Fresh, right? But it is what it is.
Bazooka Joe gum.
And then you're walking out of the 7-Eleven, right? Right there, right on the counter, it says free gum, right? And experiments right there for free. Right? It's right there. Just take it if you want. Just take it. Like you know what I mean? It's free.
They're trying to give me a pack of gum that tastes like the back of a baseball card and loses its flavor in 2 seconds. And they're trying to price it at $15.99. It's like, no, bro, this used to come free with the baseball cards. This used to come free with the baseball
card. The King Griffey Jr. baseball card's free, Alex.
Yeah.
You got to pay for the gum, though. That's what they're doing to us.
And the dudes behind us are like, why don't you just eat the gum? Why don't you just pay $15.99 for it?
Okay, can you guys not understand? Do you not understand, guys, why people that talk to business of boxing and shame fans and blame the fans for not buying a lot of these crap fights? You know what I mean? Like, do you not understand how stupid? Like, people have just gotten used to it, and they're in this bubble of boxing, right? Mm-hmm. And they're in their echo chambers because that's a lot of us. The boxing community is a big echo chamber, right? And you got to step out of that echo chamber sometimes to understand how ridiculous people sound when they shame fans and blame the fans and then the things they say to fans, like don't complain, just buy it, shut up and buy it. If you don't like it, don't watch it. Go watch another sport then. If you don't love boxing, go watch MMA. Like what? Just that, like me not loving Shakur versus Cordina doesn't mean I don't love boxing. Like,
we don't understand the brilliance of Shakur. And oh, by the way, this is while Shakur is saying he doesn't care about you publicly.
And then a lot of these people wonder.
Imagine the owner of that bubble gum, that stick of bubble gum that used to be in a baseball card.
But Kellex, like people
saying he hates you.
Look, they wonder why they're so out of touch with just the common person. Like none of these arguments, like I know, like believe me, I understand how ridiculous the gum analogy sounds, but that's how people sound.
Yeah.
Like, but people in boxing don't realize it. They think a lot of these things sound good, and they don't. Like flexing on people because you could afford the pay-per-view, and look, and maybe there is people that can't afford a fucking $100, like they don't have it in their budget, and that's okay. Like we shouldn't be shaming people. Like this sport was built on the poor man.
Yeah,
it's a poor man sport.
Now it's a country club sport.
And they turned it into a country. Yeah, it's a country club sport. That's not good for the long-term gain of the sport. It just isn't. Mm-hmm. Right? So like I think a lot of people's like maybe if I've given the benefit of the doubt, they mean well and they just want to see the sport succeed. However, sometimes you need to accept the reality of how fucked up things are and accept that there's a problem in order to fix it. We cannot fix a problem if no one admits there's a problem.
Yep.
You know, so that's what I think.
They should be thanking us. They should be thanking us because if we do get close to a market reset, it'll be because of the people abstaining from crappy fights. So we'll get there quicker. Want to touch on this topic real quick. Well, let's update where we're at pound for pound, sort of at the top, because Bud just fought last month. Inoue is fighting next week against Donaghy, and we're not expecting much from that fight, right? It's sort of like in the stay busy realm type of fight. And I'd rather a fighter stay busy than not fight at all. And I'm sure there are bigger fights coming. Donaghy's a guy who's 26-4. He's lost to the likes of Mick Conlon, Sam Goodman. So we're expecting Inoue to run through him, right? But Inoue has done great things already at 122 and more things to come. I'm sure the Ahmed Eliev fights coming down the line. And maybe things at 126 and perhaps a Junto Nakatani fight, which would be a super fight in Japan. But we're expecting the breeze. Where are you with sort of the top of your pound for pound list right now? Has anything changed since last we talked about this? Because I think we were in agreement, right? The top three would be some variation of Inoue,
Yeah, I'm going to
Bud,
be actually
Usyk.
yeah, I'll be doing because I'm actually I've got it to a point, Calix, where I only update my pound for pound list every 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing it every month anymore.
Do you really need
But
to at this point, right?
like there's not a lot of activity, and then I don't want a honeymoon, an early honeymoon stage effect, meaning like
Recency bias.
yeah, somebody just has a great performance, and then I make a knee jerk. That's one thing I don't like about a lot of the people at the pound for pound list. Like you update it every time there's a big fight, and it's like I think you should have a set date, and on that date is when you update the pound for pound list. It's still how I feel about it, but everybody obviously it's subjective, so they could do it however they want. But me, I still think Inoue is the top pound for pound fight in the world. I still think Crawford is still number two. I would say, and I mean, it's Biv. I mean, Canelo. It's debatable, but I will say I have Bam in my top five. I think Bam is 4 or 5 in my opinion, easy.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course there's Bivol. So that's how my pound for pound list looks at the moment. Top five. The 6 to 10 is very interchangeable. Like, you know what I mean? Ioka obviously is out of the list now because he lost, and that rematch has been announced, by the way, him against Martinez. I don't think he could be Martinez at this point.
I don't think so either. And I'm gonna be honest with you, just quick, real quick. I think Ioka's in danger of getting knocked out on New Year's Eve in that rematch.
Yeah, like no, if Ioka comes out and gets the W, I mean that would be amazing. But credit to him, and it's hard to tell these fighters like you can't win, don't do it, like because like they're warriors and maybe they feel in their heart they could do it even though we see they can't.
Yeah.
And that's why we love boxing. Like that's why we love a lot of these fighters. You know what I mean? Like Gallo Estrada, whether he knows he can or not, I don't know. But I think everyone knows he can't be Bam at this point. Mm-hmm. But he wants to run it back because it's his nature. You know what I mean? It is what it is. But that's why I stand with that. I do want to, speaking of Inoue, like, shout out to a lot of you Canelo fans out there. I'm a Canelo fan, right? Alex likes Canelo too. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I've been a Canelo fan for years. But one thing, like, guys, we can't. A lot of you guys are out here throwing shots at Inoue. What are you doing? Like, what are you guys doing? Like, nobody wants to say anything about it. Inoue versus what's his dude's name? Donnie, like whatever. How do you pronounce it?
I pronounce it Doheny.
Yeah, there we go.
Whatever it is, you're gonna be looking. Whatever it is, you're gonna be looking up at the ceiling.
Like I get it. But like no one is saying. Find me one person. You're not gonna find me anybody saying, "Oh, this is a great fight. I can't wait for this fight. It's an amazing fight." And you're not gonna find Inoue fans. You're just not gonna do it. You're not gonna find Inoue fans like telling people to complain about this fight. Oh yeah, what about this guy? What about that? You're not gonna find that. You see what's going on, and I understand some of it. I do. I get it, guys. Canelo he's the face of boxing, right? Especially here in North America, anyway. In Japan, it's Inoue, but in North America, he's the face of boxing. Canelo's going to get a lot of criticisms, okay? But going at Inoue for this opponent, it isn't it. I'm just going to put that out there.
It's similar to fighting Yildirim, right? I mean, it's a stay busy fight in between. It's a
stay busy fight. He's going to be back in a couple of months. Like we got to judge it accordingly.
Yeah.
But like this isn't it, guys. Is what I'm saying. But it just isn't it. No one is saying this is a great fight. Nobody. Literally. He just fought at the Tokyo Dome. He's not going to be back at the Dome for this fight. Mm-hmm. Even in Japan, they know it's not a big fight. Yeah. Like it's just, I mean, he's a superstar, just like Canelo is. So people are still showing up to the Berlanga fight. People are still showing up to the Inoue fight. But Inoue isn't that dude like that. Inoue isn't like these other fighters that have only been fighting once every 15 months, haven't fought anybody in a year. That's not Inoue. Like Inoue fans are not the fan base who call out and it's just. I'm just saying it isn't that.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what that's about. I don't understand why that has to be a thing. Now, anytime someone's in a fight that isn't that big of a deal or isn't that impressive, well, see, no one wants to call him out the way we're calling out Canelo, right? All that tells me is that your world is revolving around Canelo a little too much, right? Where if everything you look at, you're comparing it to, oh, this is how they treated Canelo. Look how they treated in this situation. I mean, maybe you got to take a step back a little bit.
Yeah,
is all I'm saying. Take a step back and like look. Inoue and Canelo are nowhere near each other's weight classes, right? They're both very accomplished fighters. And Inoue was the fight of the year last year. Like Inoue had a phenomenal year last year. Like he's not a guy to look at and say, man, when is Inoue going to step up? Like he's just not that dude like that. You know what I mean? And while no one is looking forward to this fight, and it's a head scratcher, like Calix said, it's a stay busy fight. It just is what it is. Like no one is saying this is an amazing fight. Now the argument is, but no one's giving them backlash the way they give backlash to Canelo. Then give them backlash. Then say, you know what? I don't like this fight. Then just do it. Be what you want it to be instead of calling people out for it. Like you know what I mean? Like this, just that's all I'm saying. You know, but I just wanted to point that out.
Yeah, and I'll sort of piggyback off that real quick. Is you got to put things in the proper perspective. First of all, this type of stuff used to happen all the time in boxing because fighters fought more, right? And we didn't expect Chavez. Chavez was fighting all the time. We didn't expect because dudes still do that thing, right? D-Style SC, one of Chavez's opponents, and this guy had 18 losses. Yeah, but pay attention to the box rec. He fought 4 weeks prior, and then he fought 4 weeks after. Like, they put things in the proper perspective that if you fight, the more often you fight, the more forgiveness you get for not every fight being a killer. And if Inoue is going to fight in May and December and he fights Doheny in September, it's like, okay, if Canelo fights in December of 2020 and then May of 2021, Yildirim in February of 2021 is perfectly acceptable. It's a perfectly acceptable fight if done the right way. But that's my second point is it has to be done the right way. We've talked about Oscar De La Hoya fighting Stevie Forbes at Causin, California, pricing it cheap, not putting on pay-per-view, putting on HBO subscription. And this is the difference between what Inoue is doing and, say, Canelo and Shakur right now. Why we complain about the other ones and not Inoue is Inoue, I can wake up on Tuesday morning and view it for free, right? Inoue is not putting in this in the Tokyo Dome because he realizes this type of fight isn't Tokyo Dome worthy, right? Junto will be. This one, not so much. And Canelo, the issue I have is Berlanga is actually an acceptable opponent if done correctly. If you look at the landscape of the division, if Benavidez isn't on the table and Bud's not ready, then Berlanga's acceptable if done right, if not put in Vegas, if not pricing out the market, if not pricing it $89.99, which is absurd to me. Shakur versus Cordina, if Tank's not going to send an offer, if Loma's not ready till 2025, if Zepeda's not ready for 2025, then guess what? Shakur, I feel for you. You can't get the fight Cordina, but you're putting it, whatever they're going to put it at, $59.99, $74.99, whatever they're going to price it at, it's too much. And it's not a pay-per-view worthy fight. You got to put it into perspective. So though that's what I'll say about that. As far as pound for pound, I'm with you. Maybe we should wait till a certain date and not right after a fight to update our pound for pound list to sort of guard against recency bias. But mine, up until the last point, hasn't really changed. In fact, it's been solidified. I think there's a clear top 8 at this point. And after 8, it's fair game. It's why I don't even it didn't even have a top 10 last time. I just did a top 8, and it stayed pretty much the same. Usyk, that's where you and I differ. Usyk's not a career heavyweight, so I'll put Usyk on my pound for pound list. I understand your rule, and it's a fair rule. You don't put him on there because he's the baddest man on the planet. If you're the baddest man on the planet, pound for pound is sort of meaningless to you. Why do you need pound for pound if you're the baddest man on the planet and you beat anybody because you're the heavyweight champion? But I'll still put him on there. I'll have Usyk 1. I have Inoue 2, and I have Bud 3. And the Madrimov fight to me solidified why I had Bud 3. I thought he looked good. He won the fight. Credit to him. I just think Inoue and Usyk are sort of separating themselves a little bit, in particular Inoue from Bud because he's more active. That was Bud's first fight in 53 weeks. And I like the young dogs moving into the top 5. I got Bam 4. I got Junto 5. I just think those guys are in their prime now, and they're making their move. And Bivol, I have 6 because I have to put him ahead of Canelo because he's got the head-to-head. And Canelo 7 and Better B of 8. And the reason I have Better B of lower is because he's simply hurt all the time. He just doesn't fight enough. So that's my top 8. And obviously when Bivol Better B of happens, that could move around significantly. But that's where mine's at, and mine's largely unchanged at the top. And there's nothing really next week, D-Style, that we'll see that'll change that. I don't think we can move Inoue ahead of Usyk quite yet, being that there's a rematch coming up in December, a big rematch against Fury, if he were to beat Doheny. But other people have Inoue number 1, even if they have Usyk on the list. And that's fair enough, because you can definitely make an argument that Inoue is the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world. So anything you got with that?
No, like I agree with a lot of that, and if not most, but I think in a way, like when you look at in a way, I just think he's 100% a very bright spot in the sport. And Japan in general has given life to the sport, at least worldwide. Like it's a positive, it's a net positive for the sport. Like everything about it. The looking at just airports and I mean just places of public where there's posters of Inoue everywhere. It's like surreal to see like that a professional boxer is like a superstar to that degree in a country that has a third strongest economy in the world. This is not like, and I cannot express to people how significant that is. I just can't. And how big that is. And I think we're lucky to be in an age where there's social media and we're connected to the internet and we're able to witness this, right? Because if Inoue was a boxer in the 80s, let's say, only people reading Ring Magazine would know about him.
Yeah.
Right? Like his fights would not be televised unless he came over here to fight in Vegas against an American fighter or something. That's about it. Right? Or it doesn't have to be Vegas, anywhere. But that aspect of at least from a worldwide perspective is a positive. We're lucky to be witnessing Inoue to begin with. And this is why I don't even see the big deal about when people say he needs to come to America if he wants to become a big guys. We could watch the fights in America. Like we could watch it in America. Like we could watch it. Like, but it's just because it's being televised in Japan doesn't mean you can't watch it. Like you could witness it. You can. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Maybe if we're, and I'll say this, like if we're lucky, we'll experience Inoue here in the U.S. Right? But nothing about it screams it benefits him. He would have to do it because he wants to, not because it's a better monetary option for him, quite frankly.
He's one of the few fighters in the sport like Canelo who doesn't need the Saudi market. He doesn't need Riyadh season. He
doesn't need Riyadh season. He doesn't need America. He doesn't need any of it, bro. He don't need our pay-per-view money. That dude is a superstar over there in epic proportions. And what I'll say is this: he's one of the good guys of the sport. What I mean by that is one of the guys that's a positive beacon for the sport, a good ambassador for the sport. In a way, someone I could proudly tell somebody, like a friend at work, "Oh, you got to watch this guy." Like, and I'm not nervous about Inoue's thinking up to join, and you know what I mean. Like, it is what it is, and
he's coming to destroy.
Hey, before the shift starts, go to ESPN. Well, watch this dude, bro. Like, trust me, he's good, right? I could show people highlights at family reunion. Look at this guy, like, you know what I mean? Like and he's got the resume and he's got the accolades, and he's not done, and he's still going. So I just think it's completely, it's just crazy to me because of this one fight. You just want to go at him and call people out for not calling out the fight. If anyone hadn't fought all year and this was the fight, believe me, I would be going in on the fight. Like it is what it is, and I've already said the fight's not that. I did a whole segment on the roundtable talking about how this is not a good fight.
Even if he was active, if he put it on pay-per-view, we trash it because this isn't a pay-per-view worthy fight.
Yeah, like if it was, you guys, that's another thing. We get to watch it for free on ESPN Plus. I'll tell you the subscription, obviously. No one's charging $90 to watch anyway fight. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's just think about that, bro. And I would love to know, like I said, Japan is the third strongest economy in the world. It's number one in technology, as far as I'm concerned, right? So they're far ahead in technology from us. Like the shit they have now, we're going to see in 4 or 5 years. It's always been that way, right? So what I'm saying is, like, I would love to, because I don't really know a lot about how they do things within a way. Like, I know he has a Prime deal. I know he's a big star over there, but is it pay-per-view? Is there a paywall? Or what is it? Because he makes a lot of money. It's a very strong economy, and if they wanted to be greedy, they probably could make more money, but he probably wouldn't be as big of a superstar as he is right now.
Yeah.
Right. So,
and it's a booming boxing market too. And look out for Junto. Look out for Junto because I think he's going to piggyback off of that.
By the way, Calix, another country where MMA is very popular, yet boxing is still doing great, right? But I keep hearing, boxing's not big here because of MMA.
It's not. That's not why.
That's not what it is. Like if that's what it was, and not only that, Calix, kickboxing is big in Japan. K1's big in Japan. So obviously, people love combat, right? The people in Japan have embraced boxing. They have for years, but there's a booming economy in there right now, and it's just what it is.
UFC is just not a boxing disruptor. It's not. I've never bought into that. It may be doing better overall, more sustainable, but it's not a disruptor of boxing. Boxing is boxing's disruptor. Boxing is boxing's problem. And if boxing could just get it together in America, then boxing would be fine. It would be fine. So you have other markets booming throughout the world as far as boxing. In America, it's sort of this every empire is destroyed from within, D-style, right? So we both know that. So that's what's happening to American boxing. It's being destroyed from within. But I'm optimistic. Maybe we can stop the bleeding. Who knows? But otherwise, there's nothing to complain about coming from the Japanese side of things. I like how they're doing things.
It just reminds me, boxing's landscape reminds you of that show, The Newsroom, where they have that famous clip where the guy's like, America's not the greatest country in the world anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like that's when it comes to boxing, it's not the greatest country for boxing anymore.
No,
it just isn't. I mean, very soon, it's not even going to be the greatest country for boxing in this continent. Because Mexico is this close, right? Yeah. As far as it would go by world title holders, you know what I mean? And if people don't feel they got to fix it, it's whatever to me. But I'm going to tell you right now, man, it's not. We can't even medal at the Olympics anymore. And shout out to the Olympic team. I know they worked hard and all that, but we for whatever reason, amateur level, pro level, we can't figure it out like we used to. We used to dominate. Like, forget number one. We were like the dream team when it came to boxing, right? The first dream team wasn't the dream team of '92. Shout out to them. That was in basketball, but it was the Olympics with Malcolm Taylor and Whitaker and Holyfield and those guys. Mm-hmm. That was a dream team, right? And Holyfield should have been a gold medalist that year, but it is what it is. But look, man, I just want to give this final thought. Yep. You know, first of all, tonight, Roundtable on my channel. Make sure you guys check that out. Let me just say, I'm a Canelo fan, guys. Right? we need to have the right energy for the right places, and we got to keep it real. Like, and I'm glad most have admitted that the Berlanga fight's not that great of a fight. That's good, right?
Mhm.
But what we got to be careful with is, hey, why is nobody saying anything about this guy? Why is anybody saying this? When you have to resort to that, you're almost conceding that Canelo ain't making the best moves right now. And all you're arguing is that those guys aren't making the moves either. You're not calling them out, right? But if there's an either on there, then at the end of the day, we got to reflect a little bit, is all I'll say. A little bit of reflection, everybody, right? Inoue is one of the good guys. He's one of the good bright spots in the sport. Going at him or his fan base isn't it. Because I'll be honest with you, I think most Inoue fans are probably confused about it. Like, why are these guys attacking Inoue? Like, what's going on? They probably don't even understand, right? That's all I'll say. Inoue is the guy that American boxing channels were calling a bum, and he hasn't fought any Americans. That's the only reason he's undefeated. And the moment he fights Fulton, he's going to get schooled with ease, and because he's a hype job, and like that's how Inoue was being treated. So don't come to me with it. Oh, everyone's so praised. They're always praising Inoue when that motherfucker has earned all the praise he's gotten, and you cannot subtract from others to gain for yourself, right? And Canelo's earned everything he's gotten too, by the way, right? But all I'm saying, Inoue ain't the guy to go at. Is all I'm saying. He ain't it.
He ain't it. He ain't that guy.
He's the guy. He's that guy. But he's not the guy to criticize. You know what I mean? And you know what else about Inoue? One more thing. I couldn't say any better myself, so I'll let my homeboy here say it for me.
Man, that nigga was that Japanese guy was in shape.
On that note, and there will be a I will have, before I head out of town this weekend, I will have a Inoue versus Doheny at least video up. So be on the lookout for that, and be on the lookout for the round table tonight over on D Styles channel. And we will see y'all when we see y'all. God bless.
Peace.